Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Hannah. It's been a hot minute since I posted a new video. Honestly, I was already planning on taking a break just for my overall mental health and to recharge for the next semester. I was planning on officially announcing that in a video probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, but then I got the surprise of my life. My boyfriend Sebastian, he surprised me after 6 months of not seeing each other. So because of that, I took the last 2 or 3 weeks off just to fully spend time with him and get back into the swing of things with YouTube and being long distance again. And because it's been a couple of days since he's been gone, I thought that this would be a perfect time for me to talk about my long distance relationship. I'm going to be sharing my 5 tips for successful long distance relationships, as well as answering a couple of y'all's questions. So first off, I'm going to be talking about my experience. My boyfriend Sebastian and I have been together for almost 6 years, and out of those 6 years we've been long distance for 4.5, and the 1.5 years that we've been together have been kind of broken up. So the first 6 months we actually spent here in Houston because this is where we met, this is where we were going to school. The other year that we were together, I was in Germany studying abroad. I think among most people my age and in general, I'm pretty much a veteran with long distance. A large part of my relationship has been spent long distance. In terms of dealing with one like in this digital age with iPhones, etc., I have a good grasp on my best tips for those who are just now getting into a relationship like this. Overall, my experience, I would say, has been healthy in terms of our relationship just being happy and healthy, and it's something that's only getting better as we grow older and as we start progressing into different stages of this relationship. But overall, I am happy with who I'm with, and I think that's the most important thing, and we're working towards when we can actually close this gap. Alrighty, so now that you're kind of acquainted with my own experience and just the general history of my long distance relationship, we're going to get into the tips that I have for you guys. Because I've been dealing with it so long, I definitely have people who are always asking me, whether it's friends or friends of friends, just asking how I maintain and manage this type of a relationship. So out of those inquiries, I've been able to kind of narrow down my 5 general tips of how we maintain a healthy long distance relationship. And again, these are only tips. It's not to say that this will be 100% effective and successful. It's just something to help you guys if you find yourself in this type of situation. Every relationship is different and every relationship needs something different. So it's a lot of just kind of testing the waters and trying things out to see what works best for your long distance relationship. My first and probably most important tip is definitely to communicate often. With long distance relationships, your relationship is kind of seated in the fact that your relationship exists through communication. Communication is key, whether it be in text messages or in video chatting. Obviously, there are various ways that you can go about communicating, whether it be through iMessage. And an extra pro tip, iMessages that are sent iPhone to iPhone are 100% free, so long as the message bubble is blue. You could also use WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Skype. There are so many options now, and it's so easy to be connected with somebody halfway across the world. So definitely try what works best with you. I do highly recommend that you try to communicate every day if possible, and definitely to ask your partner how their day was or what's going on in their life, and be ready to talk about both your days, because it's really important that both parties are communicating equally so that you feel heard and that you get to kind of spend time with your partner in a sense. Being able to talk about your day and tell your partner what you've been thinking about or whether you've been thinking about them, it really kind of brings your 2 separate worlds together. It allows you to kind of be in the know with what's going on in their life and also to kind of feel connected with what they've been doing. The other side of communicating in a long distance relationship is that the communication has to be reciprocated. This goes for long distance relationships or relationships that are physically close, I guess we can call them. One-sided conversations with your partner is kind of boring. Like, that's the truth of it, whether you're physically together or you're 5,000 miles apart. So the effort for communication should definitely be 2-sided, which then requires equal participation and equal willingness for it to work. Sometimes you're gonna have those days where like nothing's going on, you didn't do anything, you sat in your bed all day and you watched Netflix. I've done that, and that's perfectly okay, and it's perfectly fine to tell your partner like, yo, I didn't do anything today. But even when you're having those days, definitely still try to interact with them when you can. Tip number 2 for a long distance relationship is take care of yourself. Because when you're in a long distance relationship, you're essentially apart, you end up having a lot of time to yourself. In my opinion, this time is the most important to utilize in order to take the time to pursue interests that are your own individual interests, not the interests of you and your partner, to spend time with friends and further developing platonic platonic relationships with other people, as well as to just take time to take care of yourself, you know, because we also need to love ourselves as well. Long distance relationships take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I think a lot of people tend to neglect to take care of themselves in the process as well. Sometimes with long distance relationships too, it can get a little hard. I mean, emotionally speaking, it is really hard to deal with a lot of times. I think for most people going through this, they tend to really come into contact with people that generally are negative about it just because of the negative connotation that long distance relationships have in our society. A lot of people are of the firm belief that they don't work, that they're not healthy, when in actuality they can be. They can be very healthy and they can work. So long as both parties are working, it's a generally healthy relationship and you're working towards closing the gap. I think it's really important that you are surrounding yourself with supportive people who are understanding of your relationship and understanding of your situation and maybe understanding of why you're on your phone all the time. But the flip side of that is also knowing when it's okay to just kind of put your phone down and be, just for your own well-being. And with healthy relationships, your partner should be okay with that too. A lot of the success of long distance relationship is banking on the fact that the relationship itself was healthy before, or is continually growing and developing into a relationship that is healthy. Enough of that kind of sappy sad stuff. We're going to actually go on to tip number 3, which is have a goal. For us personally, my boyfriend and I went about 3 years without seeing each other in person. This was due to money, the fact that we were in high school. Our summer breaks didn't really overlap well enough for us to fully go on break to see each other. Long distance becomes a lot easier when you know that there's a definite date that you're going to see each other. In my opinion, it's super important to set these kind of goals just so that you have something to look forward to. This goal can be the next visit, whether it be in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. This goal can be even as big as finally closing the gap. Setting these kinds of goals allows you to power through the waiting time and get you excited about these moments that you get to spend with your partner. The most important part of this tip though, however, is that when you set a goal, don't just set it and let it pass, set it and work towards it. If, for example, you want to move to your partner's country and get a degree there, work hard to set yourself up in order to achieve that. If you want to travel to see them during a particular time of the year, work hard to save up for it. And this all goes back to the effort that long distance requires in order to maintain this type of relationship. Tip number 4 is packages and letters. To me, this tip is kind of fun and thoughtful. It can sometimes require a little bit of money depending on where you're sending it. For us, when we didn't get to visit each other for long periods of time, we would actually send packages once a year just because sending large packages abroad can be really, really expensive. So we would fill each box with like snacks or clothing or things that we think each other would like. And inside each package, we would include like a little letter. And then to top it all off, we would like spray our cologne or our perfume on it just so that the package smelled like us. Sending stuff through the post is something that we don't really do anymore as a society. It's really nice to receive that kind of mail from somebody that you love because it is special and you get to in turn kind of experience either the culture that they're living in or their own culture themselves if they live in a different country. My last tip number 5, is to travel. This is probably by far the most expensive tip out of these 5. We as humans, we like to show affection to the people that we love and we like to experience things with the people that we love, whether it be going to the zoo or just like going on a picnic. Like little things like that is just really, really special, and it's something that you don't necessarily get when you're in a long distance relationship. I do suggest traveling as much as you can if it's feasibly possible. For some people, that's not financially possible to travel every year or even every other year. With partners that live halfway across the world too, it can get even harder. But other things that you can do is potentially meet halfway with your partner. So if your partner lives in Europe and you live in the US, you can meet halfway in New York, for example. Or rather than traveling to where they live or them traveling to where you live, you can travel to a new city. If you really want to see Bali, for example, you can both meet in Bali. In terms of this section of giving tips, if you are looking for advice or you have any tips of your own, leave a comment down below and definitely let me know. I'm sure people who are watching this and I myself am super interested to see what else is successful for people. But now that we've gotten that covered, I'm going to go into the Q&A. I actually put a post on Instagram about this, asking you guys for questions regarding long distance relationships and what y'all were curious about. The first question that I got was from Becky Harrett, and she asked, what's the hardest part? To be honest, the hardest part is waiting for the day when I don't have to be in a long distance relationship anymore. And definitely the time difference. I'm kind of getting to a point in my life where I'm ready to progress in my relationship with my boyfriend in terms of moving towards settling down. And where I'm at in my life with almost being done with my degree, it's kind of becoming more apparent that it's going to get harder once I'm actually working a full-time job. I'd really like to start closing the gap here in about 2 years or so. So I'm taking the steps to progress in that regard, but yeah, just waiting. I've been waiting a really long time. And then the time difference, because we have a 7-hour time difference between each other. Sometimes when I'm like really tired and I sleep in, I only get to talk with him for a couple of hours. So I feel like I miss out on a lot of opportunity to talk with him and to spend time with him in a sense. But yeah, I think time difference and waiting is definitely the hardest part. And then S. O'Neill 19 asked, how often do y'all talk on a daily or weekly basis? We text every day for as long as possible. It's really dependent on when I wake up and when he goes to bed. I'd say on average we probably spend 4 to 7 hours a day talking with each other. And during this time, of course, we're carrying on with normal life, just kind of texting when we can. We FaceTime now about 1 to 2 times a week. It's really because of the time difference and scheduling. It's hard for us to do it in the middle of the week because I have classes while he's up, and then when I'm done with classes, he's going to bed. It doesn't really work out during the week, but on the weekends, we try to spend as much time on FaceTime as possible, just so that we can spend time with each other that way as well. Lately, we've been really getting into watching TV shows and movies together on FaceTime, mainly because a lot of the shows that I want to show him are not available in Germany. And then Nar.Hadzik asked, how often do you talk about the future, or do you avoid that topic? This is a really good question. We talk about the future very often. It's because we're nearing that point in our life where we want to start settling down and we want to start closing this gap. We probably talk about it more than most couples who aren't long distance do. And it's not because I'm like, hey, let's move to this part of our relationship. It's more of, hey, we need to be thinking about this for the future because it's going to come up really soon. For us as well, you know, it's not as simple as just moving somewhere and establishing a life there. There are legal steps that are involved. We definitely talk about that a lot, especially because I'm almost done with my degree. So I'm kind of looking towards whether I want to go to grad school or what I want to do. And that also takes time and planning to do. But it is a constant topic that comes up. And then from Abigail Zilias, I think, how do you manage your relationship money-wise in terms of like airplane tickets? All right, so I'm gonna be real with y'all. In all honesty, we are both still dependent on our families. Both of us have quite a few siblings as well, so we try not to abuse the ability that we have to travel to each other, as well as sometimes it's just not possible to travel to each other all the time. We do try to take turns when visiting each other, but in terms of plane tickets and sometimes when we have to accommodations, our families take care of it. We try to get the deals, let me tell you. When possible, we try to stay with each other's families just because it's cheaper. Paying for accommodations over a 2-week period is very, very expensive. When possible, we also use points. So if we've accumulated points, then we'll apply those points towards our flight costs. Travel in general is really expensive, so I try not to abuse it that much, just because I try to be grateful for what I have and grateful for the ability that I have to have seen him as often as I have. And I've only visited him twice in his country, and the second time was me living there. So we do our best when we can. If I didn't have the support of my family, then I would definitely work and save up for it. But with that being said, if you have any questions for me personally, or again, tips, leave me a comment down below, let me know. Also, let me know what your New Year's resolutions are. Mine is to FaceTime with my boyfriend more often and maybe take up yoga. I'd like to take up a hobby of some sort, just because I need to like focus on myself. 2019 is for self-love, you guys. I don't even know what to call this video. That's it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit that bell so you can get notifications every time I post a new video. I hope you had a beautiful Christmas, a beautiful New Year's, and that you have a beautiful week, and I will see you guys next week. I promise this time. Bye, guys.